Welcome back. I hope you stretched your legs and your arms and your shoulders, and remembered to keep hydrated. So our next speaker is Franchelle of Ofsoské-Wyber from Auckland, New Zealand, speaking to us about esoteric hypnosis. So Franchelle, there you are. Wonderful. Take it away, Franchelle.
Thank you, Jan. Ancient earth wisdom teachings and prophecies speak of this time in the world's history as being a time when the world is upside down and inside out. They speak of it as a time when the house of humanity is in disarray, in a state of disorder. And they say that the real war being waged is the battle for our human soul and our human spirit. So fairly weighty prophecies and teachings from various indigenous cultures and wisdom teachings traditions. But the ancient wisdom keepers are right. You know, these times we've chosen to incarnate into are all of those things. But to me, these times are also invitational, because they're an invitation for healers everywhere to step up and to step out. And they're an invitation to bring the very best of the best, the very best of the ancient wisdoms recontextualized for today's times, to bring those to the forefront in the battle for the human soul and spirit, and to purpose good in our own world, in the world, and in the greater universe. So very powerful times that we have chosen as souls to incarnate into. There are no accidents that we're here. There's no accidents that I'm speaking to you about the ancient art and science of esoteric hypnosis, and what I understand to be the sacred role of esoteric hypnosis in restoring order in the house. So it's a big, mysterious subject, but these are certainly very big and very mysterious times. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Franchelle of Ofsoské-Wyber, and Jan, I take my hat off to you. Many people have difficulty pronouncing my name, but you did that very smoothly. So I'm the founder of the Esoteric Hypnosis Training Academy and creator of the Hypnotic Protocol system of esoteric hypnosis, which is hypnosis for the body, mind, and soul. I've had a big life. I'm the founder of the Medicinal and Centre for Shamanic and Esoteric Studies, and the co-creator of First Light Flower Essences of New Zealand, which is a range of award-winning range of vibrational medicine for holistic health and well-being. But at the core of what I do is teach healers and hypnotherapists from all walks of life and backgrounds about the power of soul and spirit in healing and hypnosis. So it's a real joy to be here with you today, speaking on the topic of esoteric hypnosis, healing, and the Aquarian Age. It is a fascinating subject. It's one that I truly love and that I'm very passionate about, because I know with absolute certainty that the potential of esoteric hypnosis in the Aquarian Age is truly infinite. And as I go further into my talk and presentation, I'll give you some information that explains what I mean. So it's my understanding that esoteric hypnosis has the power to bring about deep soul healing and soul restoration that is so much needed in the world at this time. and is going to be increasingly needed. After over 50 years of working professionally in the field of healing and hypnosis, it's esoteric hypnosis and deep soul work that is the subject I'm an expert in, and I feel more than qualified to speak to you about it. So let's look at the subject of destiny. It's my understanding we all have a destiny, a reason for being here. I know what mine is. I've known it for as long as I can remember. You know, one of the many things that clients come to me for, they'll want to know, you know, their destiny, their purpose. So it's a subject of great interest to people, and it's very much connected with the soul. So I'm just going to talk a little bit to that and about that. That our destiny is what we are born to do. It's something that we've been preparing for, often for many lifetimes, often for many lifetimes. And it can be recognized as a deep inner calling, a calling to do something with our life that has meaning and purpose. But what's really interesting and what most people don't know is that the original pattern or map of our destiny is held in what in occult terms is called our monadic self, or you may be more familiar with the term our divine self, although that's used often very loosely and ill-informed in an ill-informed fashion, but our monadic self or our divine self. So in order for us to be able to clearly recognize the impulse from our monadic self and follow our true direction or our true calling, the soul needs to be ready and able to receive it. So if you think, probably one way of describing it, if we look right, think of a triangle. We think right up here is our spirit, above that our monadic self. There's our soul, and there's our personality vehicle, the part of us that's got to go and deal with the world, the part of us that's got a physical body and emotions and a mind. So our soul has to be ready and able to receive the original blueprint from the divine self, the monadic self, without that original blueprint becoming distorted or deflected. And more often than not, it is distorted and deflected by the soul wounds, the soul scars, or the soul skins that we may have acquired, that our soul has acquired on our long evolutionary journey. So the soul, in my understanding, is that part of us that has that is on its journey of evolutionary growth. And it comes in each lifetime on a continuum of becoming all it can be. But in that process, it can lose parts of itself, or it loses its original integrity, is another way of putting it. So while many people want to know what their true calling is, or their destiny, or their life purpose, because that's what gives our life meaning at the end of the day, by the time we've kind of eliminated the transient things, that's always left standing. So while many people want to know their true calling or their true destiny or their life purpose, the reality is very few are able to recognize it, and even fewer are able to follow it. So just reiterating, that's the soul that needs to be able to receive that impulse, that pattern, and then reflect that accurately out in the world. So it's so easy to get caught up in the things that don't matter and the things that can waste our time and can waste our life. And from my experience, one's destiny is always aligned with being of service to the greater good in some way, always. And so for me, following my destiny is something that I call being in a state of dynamic receptivity. And that's the soul is in a state of direct receptivity to spirit, to divinity, 24/7, 365 days a week. whether I feel like it or not, it's irrelevant. So that state of dynamic receptivity is a very, very powerful state that the soul can hold, and that the soul needs to hold if we are to fulfill our destiny. That state of dynamic receptivity means staying light on your feet, being able to move in an infinite direction, or for me, turning on the head of a pin and letting nothing, absolutely nothing, and no one get in the way of fulfilling what divinity asks me to do. So our destiny, knowing our destiny or fulfilling our destiny, very, very inextricably woven into the relationship with soul. So our relationship with soul needs to be robust and healthy, and that's not possible unless the soul is complete and whole and in a state of holistic well-being. So if we're looking at destiny, then for me, I know, right, mine involves bringing state-of-the-art training in the field of metaphysics, occultism. Occultism just means hidden, secret, unrevealed. Shamanism, healing, hypnotherapy, to enable those who are drawn to walk this path to fulfill their sacred, unique destiny. So, and the reinstatement of the teachings that are associated with the lineage teachings and healing and hypnosis techniques from the legendary sleep temples of ancient Egypt, bringing those into the Aquarian Age. And they're the teachings that integrate the science of consciousness and the remarkable powers of the healing of the human mind and the ancient shamanic and healing secrets of the sages that have not been made publicly available for over 3,000 years until now. So today, I'm going to be introducing you to and explaining a little bit about the Aquarian Age, the age that we've chosen as souls to incarnate into. And it is an age that will bring a greater awareness of the inner life and of the world of soul. I'll be talking about the remarkable tool that is esoteric hypnosis and the work carried out in the ancient Egyptian healing sleep and dream temples, and the nature of the comprehensive training undertaken by those healer priests and priestesses who worked in those temples. We're looking at what the ancients knew about healing and hypnosis that we've forgotten, and we'll look at the world of soul and working with soul. So the objective of my talk is to give you a much bigger and deeper and more multi-dimensional perception of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, so you can understand why esoteric hypnosis is so vitally important and relevant. So in this 15-minute presentation, I am not going to teach you how to do esoteric hypnosis. It's an art and it's a science. And if you're interested in it, then it's necessary to learn it properly. And if that's the case, then you know where to find me. But let's just look at context, because context is really important. In the ancient wisdom tradition, nothing exists in isolation and everything is connected. And so to help put some of what I've said in context, I'll give you a little bit about my background and journey that's relevant to me teaching and speaking about the power of soul and spirit in healing and hypnotherapy. So I formally trained in clinical hypnotherapy in 1999, and I'm a professional hypnotherapist and hypnotherapy trainer. I'm a spiritual teacher, vibrational medicine specialist, and author of 2 seminal books, and many decades of working professionally with clients and training thousands of students around the world. My journey with hypnosis, healing, tarot, magic, shamanism, astrology, ritual, alchemy, and vibrational medicine began in the 1970s. And so I've formally studied all of those topics. At a metaphysical level, because that's kind of the physical context, at a metaphysical level, I come from a long line of healers, medicine men and women and shaman, Russian ancestry on my mother's side and Native American on my father's. So in accordance with my tradition of my lineage, my life was formally dedicated to spirit at a very young age. I was born with highly developed psychic abilities and supersensory perception. And what that essentially means is that for as long as I can remember, I've seen into and been able to interact intelligently and practically with the inner spirit world. And it's as real to me as looking or interacting with you now. You know, to the point where as a child, it wasn't easy growing up that way, I can tell you. As a child, I learned very, very quickly to look at a person's mouth to make sure they were speaking, because I learned that I would answer what they were thinking, and you know, they would become very frightened or run away. And so I learned right before I opened my mouth to answer, then I would check that that person had actually physically spoken. So anyway, consequently, I was a bit of a loner as a child, as I'm sure you can imagine. So my inner world was a very, very rich one. So I always had the ability to be aware of other realities and to know what others are thinking and feeling. When I was 17, I had a very traumatic life and death situation, a real shamanic initiation, where I questioned, you know, the reason for living, for being alive, and, you know, beam me up, Scotty. And if you've got a reason for me being here, then you better show me now or I'm out of here. But what occurred as a result of that shamanic initiation was, from that point on, I could communicate directly with the spirit of a person, and I could see the cause of their problem at a soul level. So that ability to see the underlying cause, what was the issue at a soul level, you know, what was troubling the spirit, what ailed the spirit of the person. I was able to know the exact cause of the problems they were experiencing in their life, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The person's spirit or wairua showed me or told me the nature of the problem. So while I'd always known that we are more than our body, and we're more than our emotions, and we're more than our minds, that we're a spirit having a physical journey, it was only over time and as a natural outworking of that shamanic initiation that I passed through as a teenager that enabled me to discover the true power of soul and spirit. And that gnosis enabled me to comprehensively understand that in order for true healing to occur, the soul and spirit of a person must be included. And so I found that the history of modern hypnosis and hypnotherapy, you know, went far beyond the modern day pioneers, you know, like Braid or Esdale. I discovered that it went back thousands of years, you know, back to shamanism and back to the healing sleep and dream temples of ancient Egypt. And on that particular part of the journey, I discovered I could access and recover this ancient knowledge along with the protocols and processes necessary to practically apply that knowledge. So I developed precise techniques and tools that could help address the issues at that causative level, the level of soul and spirit. And when I started to apply that knowledge in my hypnosis work, it rapidly became apparent that the results it produced surpassed anything me personally had experienced in mainstream hypnosis. And there was an incredible power, a spiritual peace and power that descended upon me that came from directly working with other souls in this very deep, ancient and time-honored way. And there weren't then, and there still aren't, any words to describe the sense of absolute rightness that comes from working this way and bringing another soul back into at one-ment with itself, and to see the light that comes back into the being, not just the eyes, but the being, when the aspects of their soul that had been lost were, reclaimed and restored and retrieved. So to me, that was the holy grail of hypnotherapy. I just wanted to dive deeply, madly, and intensely into what was to me the inner, real, and limitless esoteric and magical world of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And this was the other face of hypnosis, the magical face. And I wanted to become a master practitioner of true esoteric hypnosis. And I wanted to be an expert in the metaphysical, magical, shamanic, and occult aspect of hypnosis and hypnotherapy that had been perfected thousands of years ago by the ancient Egyptians. So I followed my passion. I've got a strong kind of Scorpio ascendant and scorpionic nature. So I followed my passion, and after an epic journey into the inner worlds, here I am offering new and groundbreaking ways of working with the ancient and supremely powerful tool of esoteric hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So as I said before, nothing exists in isolation, and there are no accidents, and timing is everything. So to put esoteric hypnosis in its full perspective, we need to see it in the context of the Aquarian Age, the 2,000-year cycle or world age that humanity's in. So we're all familiar with cycles, the cycle of a day or the cycle of a week or a year or even a lifetime. But when we're looking from a bigger perspective, we're looking at world ages, 2,000-year cycles. And each world cycle has its keys or its codes for living, for humanity to live in harmony with it and to heal in harmony with it. So looking at the Aquarian Age and healing in the Aquarian Age, and what do we need to know about healing in the Aquarian Age? Because healing in the previous world age, which was the Piscean Age, was very, very, very different. Healing in the Piscean Age was very victim savior. The priest will heal us, or the doctor will fix us, or no responsibility, just handing it all over, basically. But healing in the Aquarian Age, very, very different. So having some understanding of what that means as healers and hypnotherapists is really essential if we are to put our best foot forward and be in tune with, or dance to the music of the spheres. As opposed to an old tune, an old record that's finished. So what we're already seeing in the Aquarian Age is that true healing or transformation is not possible if we only focus on the physical body or the mind. And in the Aquarian Age, there'll be an increasing awareness that true healing needs to involve the metaphysical as well as the physical aspects of a person. And meta just means beyond, beyond the physical. And there'll be a growing awareness and understanding that metaphysical well-being leads to physical well-being, not the other way around. So metaphysical well-being and wholeness leads to physical well-being. And the Aquarian Age is an information age. And it's an age where people will seek a deeper understanding of things and want deeper insights into things, including their own healing processes. And it will become increasingly common knowledge that the presence and the participation of soul and spirit is necessary in order for true healing to occur. But when it comes to the science of the mind, the Aquarian Age is a total game changer. The zodiacal sign of Aquarius is an air sign. And the element of air is associated with mind and with mental processes and the science of mind. So gone are the days where, people with a faith base. So the Piscean Age was very faith-based. Oh, trust me, and kind of make it up as you go. But the Aquarian Age is associated with the science of mind and mental processes. And people want information and they want to understand, depths of information, depths of knowledge. not want to be passed off with, you know, half-assed, excuse the expression, half-assed information. So when it comes to the practical application of the science of mind, that was first, so the practical application of the science of mind that was first developed by the ancient Egyptians was one of the most comprehensive and powerful sciences ever developed. And that science has not been seen or practiced in its entirety for over 3,000 years. But all of that's changing due to the precession of the equinoxes, which brings about these changes in world ages, you know, these shifts. So in the context of world ages, these 2,000-year cycles, the symbol for the zodiacal sign governing each world age has encoded into it the information humanity needs on how to heal itself, make spiritual progress, and how to live in accordance with divine law within that age. And we've now formally entered into the Aquarian Age. So the influence of this sign, it's kind of a whole talk on itself, but I'm only just want to touch on some key points. The influence of the zodiacal sign Aquarius stimulates an interest in the occult. And remember, that just means what is hidden and the unknown. And it stimulates the awareness of a deeper and inner life, the life of the soul. The symbol for the zodiacal sign of Aquarius is two identical wavy lines, one directly above the other. I'm sure you've all seen it. And a wavy line is a well-known symbol for vibration and waves. I love the language of symbols. You know, the language of symbols is the language of soul. Essentially, you know, one symbol can tell us so much. And so that symbol, those two wavy lines for the symbol of the astrological sign for Aquarius, give us so much information. It tells us this is an age of vibration. It's an age where humanity will discover, and we're already seeing that everything is vibration and energy. Everything. And that the keys to healing lie in the ability to work in the realm beyond the three-dimensional reality, beyond physical body, emotions, and mind. So it's a multi-dimensional age where we will become increasingly aware that there is more to reality than what we can see, touch, etc., than three-dimensional. So the secrets to true healing in the Aquarian Age lie in the power of working in the multi-dimensional fabric of space-time, which is the realm of soul and spirit. Another message encoded in the symbol for Aquarius is the top wavy line, which represents the metaphysical realm, the metaphysical aspect of our being, and the bottom wavy line, which represents the physical dimension or the physical aspect of our being or our personality vehicle. So the space between the two wavy lines indicates the gap between the soul and personality that has to be bridged in order for us to resolve complex modern day issues and challenges that clients present. So there's a lot more I could say about the significance of the symbolism of Aquarius in relation to healing and hypnosis. But there's perhaps one thing that I would like to mention, and that is that the zodiacal sign Aquarius governs wave forms, such as electricity, radio waves, sound waves, light waves, and also brain waves. According to neuroscience, the brain waves generated by the brain that are generally recognized and measured take the form of gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta waves. But the ancient healer priests and priestesses knew there were more brain waves than these 5 brain waves. And they also understood that increased alpha and theta brainwave activity was just a part of the journey to interface with soul. It was not the destination. So they knew how to work with brain waves to facilitate what we would now call miracles. So as we know, mainstream hypnosis works mainly with alpha and theta and brain activity. And that's, I have no, mainstream hypnosis has its place, but, my area of expertise is esoteric hypnosis. And esoteric hypnosis contains the occult secret knowledge of how to work with the soul and spirit of a person to change brainwave activity in a way that brings about deep healing that is impossible to achieve through any other means. If we look at the word esoteric, it means a number of things. It means specialized knowledge or interest, specialized knowledge or interest. So esoteric hypnosis works with the body and mind of a person as well as with their soul. And the specialized knowledge associated with esoteric hypnosis is knowledge about how to work with and address issues at the level of the soul in a comprehensive and structured manner. There is nothing random about it. The only randomness is the individual soul that you're working with. So the human soul exists beyond the perception of our 3-dimensional reality that we were talking about before. It's beyond the perception of the 5 physical senses. So it is hidden from our awareness. So in this sense, the soul is an occult reality. Because remember, this word occult just means hidden or concealed. So just to be clear, when I use the term esoteric hypnosis, I'm specifically referring to the method of hypnosis used in the healing sleep and dream temples of ancient Egypt and used in the Hypnotique protocol. So let's just take a look at ancient Egypt and the healing sleep and dream temples. Because before I go into more depth about working at a soul level, I want to put hypnosis in a historical context, because there is much more to hypnosis and hypnotherapy than most people know or hypnotherapists are taught today. Hypnosis is a magical tool in the purest and most literal sense of the word, and it is a very ancient and a very sacred tool. Now, a very sophisticated form of hypnosis was practiced in ancient Egypt from the earliest days of the ancient Egyptian civilization. And according to occult tradition, this deeper knowledge of hypnosis was brought out of the fabled continent of Atlantis, just before the last vestiges of the continent sank beneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean, just prior to the founding of the ancient Egyptian civilization about 12,000 years ago. So hypnosis as a sophisticated healing tool in the form of esoteric hypnosis was practiced throughout the length and breadth of ancient Egypt for thousands of years. It was never practiced as just a standalone modality. It was part of an integrated system of healing. So the Egyptian healers who worked with esoteric hypnosis were known as healer priests and priestesses, and had significant standing in the community. The knowledge that they had acquired on the functioning and nature of the human mind and organism far exceeds the knowledge currently held by mainstream science. The ancient Egyptian body of knowledge on esoteric hypnosis and healing was always kept secret. It was part of a very ancient mystery tradition and lineage teachings. And the full revelation of that information was traditionally only ever given to a few initiates in the lineage. Now, as we know, of course, we're in the Aquarian Age now, and when we look at the two rulers for the Aquarian Age, which are Saturn and Uranus. So Saturn tells us the ancient wisdoms coming back recontextualized for today's times. So we understand that those ancient mystery traditions needing to come back in a way that is relevant to our times. But whether it's then or whether it's now, central to their use of esoteric hypnosis was their knowledge of the role, the nature, and the importance of the soul. So they used the word ba, B-A, to signify the soul. And they symbolically represented the soul as being a bird with a human head. And the ancient Egyptians understood that the soul could lose parts of itself, and parts of the soul could become trapped in the river of time. And they encoded this knowledge into the myth of Isis and Osiris. I'm not sure if any of you know of the myth of Isis and Osiris, where the god Osiris is chopped into 14 pieces. Sounds gruesome, but chopped into 14 pieces, and his wife, the goddess Isis, had to collect those pieces together and reanimate and revivify Osiris. So the deepest secrets of soul healing and the use of esoteric hypnosis are concealed in the symbolism and storyline of this very, very ancient myth. So I was talking about brainwaves before. The ancient Egyptians were aware of and worked with a brainwave activity beyond the commonly known 5 brainwaves that I mentioned before. And they identified this other brainwave by the hieroglyph of the rearing cobra. You've probably seen that. So that brainwave, absolutely instrumental in working at that deepest levels of the human psyche, the realm of soul. So when we look at the importance of soul, what most people don't know is that it's our soul that's instrumental in creating our true reality and experiencing true healing. Our true reality is defined by the state of our soul. And we can use positive suggestions or affirmations, but if the soul is not present or is not part of the process, nothing will change at a deep level. And I like to use the example of, because the house of life is a very, very important, we are the house of life. We are a house, our spirit is resident. Our spirit is resident in our house. And so I like to use the imagery of, if we went into a house and just put wallpaper over damp walls or rotten walls, then we've not addressed the underlying issue, have we? It was the same if we just sort of doing positive suggestions or whatever. We're not addressing the problem that is foundational problems with the house. The wallpaper is going to fall off, or the wall behind is going to rot, unless the deeper problem is first fixed. So working at the soul level is restoring the integrity of the house, the structural issues that have occurred at the level of the holistic being and at the level of soul. And the ancient healer priests and priestesses understood this very, very well. And we're doing the same. We follow those processes and protocols to return the house to its original pristine condition. So their work was to restore order, or Maat. You might have heard of the Egyptian goddess Maat, M-A-A-T. So their work was to restore order, or Maat, to the house of life. In other words, to restore the holistic being to a state of order, which is Ma'at, versus disorder, which is Isvet. So the word Isvet just means disorder or chaos. And disorder or chaos implies lies or untruths. So the lies or untruths that the soul's taken on board that go so deep that have caused disorder in the house. And of course, as we said before, that disorder affects our ability to clearly receive our divine blueprint from the monadic self. So there are many, many, many reasons why the soul needs to be restored. And in our modern society, it's not well understood that disconnection from soul and soul loss are the most common forms of illness. And they are the basis of the majority of problems people face at a personal, professional, relationship, spiritual, and also at a collective global level. So the soul, that part of us that's on its journey of growth and evolution, and as it moves through its different lifetimes, it has many different experiences, and some of those experiences are empowering and some of those are disempowering, and some of those experiences have enhanced us and others have diminished us. And over the course of a life or over many lifetimes, as a result of the experiences we have had, we lose touch with vital aspects of ourselves. We give away vital aspects of ourselves, of our soul. We can lose our heart, we can lose our confidence, we can lose our joy, our power, to just name a few. We give our power away to the soul stealers. We can lose our mind to another. We can lose our heart to another, pieces of our heart. We can lose our power, our will to others. So when that happens, we create physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual realities that are false or distorted. One might say lies or truths, which are not a true reflection of who and what we are at the monadic level. So as a result, the life of soul gradually becomes smaller and smaller and more inflexible and more self-limiting. And we can easily become disconnected, dislocated, disengaged from our soul. And in the process, lose touch or move out of relationship with this vital aspect of ourselves. So our soul can get stuck, blocked, disconnected, fragmented. And the ancients understood that soul loss is a spiritual illness that can cause mental, emotional, and physical disease. And if we don't address the problem parts of the soul or inner self that have split off or fragmented, they can remain out of touch for years or even lifetimes. So the soul loss or fragmentation, so many effects on us. We can find ourselves searching for something outside of ourselves, feel something's missing, something's wrong, something's off track, something's off course. It can be a sense of feeling trapped, blocked, stuck, or lost at an inner level, or far more serious things. But I'm just giving you kind of a basic baseline. We may feel, sense, or intuit that at some core part of ourselves, something's missing. And we'll unconsciously try to fill that gap with people, possessions, food, whatever. So consequently, it's critical that these fragmented aspects of the self are reintegrated so that the real person can be restored. So working at a soul level does take skill, special knowledge, and a specialized approach. The process of soul restoration is a sacred art and a sacred science. There's a natural order in the universe, whether it's a seed turning into a flower or an acorn turning into a big oak tree, that there's a natural order in the universe, and soul loss occurs through a very, very, very particular, distinct process, and therefore can only be retrieved and reintegrated using a particular process or natural order. Rebuilding the house, you know. So that's the work of a qualified esoteric hypnotherapist who's acquired the necessary skills to safely navigate in the metaphysical realm and to act on behalf of another soul. And the responsibility and the sacredness of this very, very important role can never be overestimated. It's a timeless role. So in the sleep and dream temples of ancient Egypt, the healer priests and priestesses went through highly specialized training to become effective in facilitating that deep soul work. And integral to that training was a comprehensive knowledge of the holistic human makeup and structure of human consciousness. So they were thoroughly trained in the subtle or metaphysical anatomy of the holistic being, and also passed through their own 12 rites of passage of the healer. So for the first time in over 3,000 years, that training and knowledge has been made publicly available. There's a magic that occurs in this work that, as I say, I've been in this field for a very, very long time, and there's a magic and there's something very magical that happens when we are working in this way, when we're working with a client, taking them into the mystery of soul and to experience a deeper connection with their soul for a healing outcome. For the hypnotherapist, the magic takes place as they follow their true calling, and they're working to assist another soul to heal, to move on, to reach its full potential, and assisting the client to increasingly learn to or remember to trust the power, intelligence, and co-creative wisdom of their soul. Because for most people, that isn't a reality. You know, the personality vehicle with its jabbering mind and its changing emotions and its changing body, the soul doesn't get too much of a look in. So most people do not really have a healthy relationship with soul in terms of really being in a powerful, dynamic relationship with it. People might do soulful things. Oh yes, I'll have a bath in rose petals. I'll do these soulful things, but that doesn't mean that we're doing soul healing. So I'll probably finish now because there's a lot more I could say, but I'd like to just see if there's a few questions that I could take that if we've got time for them, then I'm open to that. So does anyone have any questions?
There's a question here from Robin, who you'll see on screen as Ruby. And she says, what do you see from the soul's view of the mandates at the moment? What views on the great divide happening within our people? Now, if you choose to answer this, Franchelle, I don't want to put you on the spot.
What I would say, coming back to soul and our own, our destiny is unique. Each and every one of us has its own destiny. Each and every one of us has our own destiny, our own role to play. And when we understand what that is, then we've that's the whatever you need to do to make that happen, you will do. So I hope I've explained that clearly, that once you know, right, what's my brief? What am I here to do? And that soul is knows what that is and is making that happen in the external world, then that's what we're doing. So I'm not trying to avoid the question. It's a huge question, and I'm very mindful. There's another speaker coming up, and I don't, obviously want to kind of keep to time. So to know what move to make on the chessboard of life, not what's right for your personality vehicle with its opinions and investing all its time and energy into this and getting upset about that, and then 5 minutes later changing his mind. We can't rely upon the personality vehicle to do anything. The soul's got to be in the driver's seat of our vehicle. And so when we know I know what I'm here to do, that's the focus, and then we make the moves on the chessboard of life from that place, then we are always empowered, no matter what is happening in the world. Do you understand what I mean? No matter what is happening in the world, no matter what governments are doing, no matter what anybody's doing, we know what we're here to do, and that is the we've got our coordinates, our GPS, where we kind of know what we're here to do. And that way, because we cannot, when we're in strong dynamic relationship with soul, we understand we cannot control what somebody else is thinking, what they're feeling, whether they like us, whether they don't, what laws they're going to, we cannot control that. The only thing we have full control over is, what am I here to do? And get on and do it.
Thank you, Franchelle. That was a wonderful answer. I've got a question here that a few people are really interested in. Are there any prerequisites for doing the esoteric hypnosis training?
No, there isn't. It's my understanding it's soul. You'll feel that if it resonates with you. I mean, it's probably going to be very polarizing in the hypnotherapy world, I have no doubt, but that's kind of, as I say, that is of no concern to me. The point being that if it calls you at that soul level, you will know. And the only prerequisite is that you just, your mind is open, because to work well in this level where you are working with a soul, as a soul with another soul. And so that's your standing place. You're not standing in what you've learned and what you haven't learned, and whether that agrees with what you know or what you don't know. I don't care. All I care about is, here's a soul who wants to work with another soul. And to me, there is no greater thing that we can do for someone else, another soul, is to be there in absolute reverence to the soul that has presented to us, from a place of reverence for them, from a place of non-attachment emotionally, and from a place of non-judgment, and from a place of absolute compassion. And only then we know we're not making any base chakra kind of connections. Then we know we can assist them at the highest possible level. We're assisting a soul. So that's all, that willingness to be all you can be, and to work with somebody in a very, very deep, safe, and powerful way.
Thank you, Franchelle. So just to clarify for everyone, you don't need to have prior hypnosis training.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful presentation. Thank you for being part of the Healing Biz Summit. And I'm sure we'll connect again soon. In fact, we will next weekend when the lovely Trish runs the Australian Hypnosis Conference. So
thank you all for tuning in. And once again, thank you, Jan.
My absolute pleasure, Franchelle. Okay, so we're just going to pop over to a short break. We'll be back on the hour, but if you need to stretch your legs or get a drink or whatever you need to do. Our next speaker is Sandra Sella from Tauranga, New Zealand, speaking about mindfulness in minutes. And we're going to be doing some meditation. So it's a really nice way to end the summit. So I'll see you shortly.